When you talk about light tanks that left a bold footprint on the battlefield, one name comes rolling out of the history books with power, precision, and personality: the M41 Walker Bulldog. And here on ZK Auto Reviews, where military engineering meets storytelling, we're about to take you deep into the legacy of one of the most charismatic light tanks ever built. Buckle up, because this isn't just a tank. It's a roaring piece of post-war determination, a product of Cold War anxiety, and a faithful companion to countless crews across the globe. It all began in the late 1940s. World War II had just ended, but already the clouds of the Cold War were brewing. The United States knew it couldn't rest easy. The old M24 Chaffee had served its purpose in World War II, but its 75mm gun was starting to feel a bit shy against new threats emerging from the east. What was needed was a light tank that could not only scout and support, but also throw a proper punch. Enter the M41, a machine born out of a desire for speed, firepower, and adaptability. Originally known as the T-37 during its early development, the tank evolved through several prototypes. Engineers kept tweaking, upgrading, and pushing the design, and when the Army decided to honor General Walton Walker, who had tragically died in Korea, the tank was renamed the M41 Walker Bulldog. It was a name that stuck, not just in American arsenals, but across continents. Let's talk about that name for a second. Bulldog! It wasn't just branding. It described the tank's spirit perfectly. Compact, muscular, determined. It was the kind of machine that didn't back down from a fight, even if the odds weren't in its favor. And you could feel that spirit from the moment its engine roared to life. Speaking of engines, oh, the power it packed. The M41 was powered by a Continental AOS 8953, a six-cylinder air-cooled gasoline engine that cranked out 500 horsepower. Now, you might say, hey, that's a lot for a light tank, and you'd be absolutely right. This beast could zip along at speeds of up to 72 km/h. That's about 45 mph. And that's not just impressive for its time. Even modern light armor finds that difficult to beat. For reconnaissance missions, quick deployment, or flanking maneuvers, the Walker Bulldog was a dream come true. Its agility wasn't just a byproduct of its engine, though. The tank featured a torsion bar suspension system that gave it excellent cross-country mobility. It could cruise over rough terrain, scale uneven ground, and still keep its gun pointed at the enemy. Crews often spoke with admiration about the ride. Sure, it could be bumpy. It was, after all, a tank. But the Bulldog made even the worst terrain manageable. And in combat, that meant survival. Now, let's get to the heart of it. The gun. The M41 was armed with a 76mm M32 high-velocity cannon. And this gun wasn't just for show. It could fire high-explosive, armor-piercing, and even canister rounds. It was accurate, fast-loading, and gave the M41 a real bite. While it couldn't go toe-to-toe with heavy tanks, it wasn't supposed to. Its job was to move fast, spot targets, and eliminate threats before they could react. And in that role, it was nearly perfect. What made the Bulldog even more effective was its fire control system, which, for the 1950s, was quite advanced. It had hydraulic gun stabilizers, enabling crews to fire on the move with surprising accuracy. And with a 5-man crew, commander, gunner, loader, driver, and assistant driver, each man had a clear role, and space was tight but efficient. Those who served on it often said that life inside the M41 was intense, fast-paced, and full of adrenaline. It was a tight-knit workspace that demanded coordination and trust. One of the greatest strengths of the M41 Walker Bulldog wasn't just in its performance, but in its reach. The United States produced over 5,000 of these tanks, and many of them were sent to allied nations. From South America to Southeast Asia, the M41 became a trusted ally in the arsenals of more than 24 countries. South Vietnam, Taiwan, Thailand, and Brazil all operated Bulldogs. and many still do in modernized forms. In Vietnam, for instance, the Walker Bulldog played a critical role for the South Vietnamese Army. Fast and nimble, it was used for patrols, convoy escort, and support operations. While it faced threats from North Vietnamese T-54s and PT-76, the Bulldog's speed and gun gave it a fighting chance. More importantly, it gave its crew confidence, and that kind of morale boost is priceless in battle. But here's a fascinating twist. The M41 wasn't just used by armies. It found its way into pop culture. You might have seen it in films, documentaries, or even parades, proudly displayed by countries that still celebrate its service. Its silhouette, with the prominent gun, low profile, and classic U.S. design, has become iconic. It's instantly recognizable, and for many tank enthusiasts, it's a favorite. Now, no tank is without its flaws, and the M41 had a few. Its gasoline engine, while powerful, made it a bit of a fire hazard compared to diesel-powered tanks. And in modern warfare, its armor was considered light, just enough to protect against small arms and shell fragments, but not much more. But, again, this wasn't a heavy brawler. It was a fast mover, a hunter, and a scout. In that role, it didn't need to be the biggest. It just needed to be the smartest and fastest. Over the decades, several countries upgraded their M41s, replacing engines, adding modern electronics, and even improving the gun. In some cases, they were used as the base for other armored vehicles, a testament to the solid design and adaptability of the Bulldog. You don't get that kind of long-term love unless you're something truly special. What really sets the M41 apart, though, is the affection and respect it earned from its crews. Stories abound of mechanics who kept their Bulldogs running in harsh conditions with limited supplies, of commanders who learned to trust its agility and firepower, and of tankers who, even decades later, remember their time in the M41 with a sparkle in their eye. There's something to be said for a machine that inspires that kind of loyalty. Today, the M41 Walker Bulldog may no longer prowl the front lines, but its legacy is alive and well. You'll find them in museums, lovingly restored by enthusiasts. Some are still used in training or ceremonial roles, and wherever they appear, heads turn. It's a machine that carries history on its tracks and reminds us of a time when speed, smarts, and spirit were enough to tip the scales of battle. At ZK Auto Reviews, we believe vehicles are more than machines. They're stories on wheels, rolling chapters of history. The M41 Walker Bulldog is one such story, of innovation, resilience, and enduring charm. It wasn't the biggest tank, nor the most heavily armed, but it was fast, fierce, and beloved by those who knew it. If you enjoyed this ride through the past, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to ZK Auto Reviews, and let us know in the comments what tank or military vehicle you want to hear about next. We've got a garage full of legends, and we're just getting started. Until next time, keep your eyes on the road and your mind on the machine.